Mr. Andem, what date did you blow the whistle?
End of June. We have published it in 5 national dailies. It's in the public domain.
That is not true.
Okay?
He says it's not true.
It's not true.
Please.
His publication, even
now, we published these bank statements and these pay slips in 5 national dailies. If I can get it accurately, last week, Thursday.
On the...
Hold on, I'm speaking, it's my time. So now, he had a chance. So our cutoff date is end of August.
No, let's get the facts correct. On the 20th of August.
Now, Mr. Tongara, just a minute. You'll respond to that. Just hang on. You'll respond to him.
Our cutoff date for this investigation is end of June 2015, and we went to town with it. Now, within this period, we had filed our advertorials with national dailies. A particular newspaper refused to publish for some reason, inclination or whatever. So we believe he got wind of it and had to go on the 22nd to make refunds while we came on air. You know that production time and all of that does not admit of you going in the morning and the paper coming out in the afternoon. No, you have to submit it. This being a legal issue, legal department had to come in, scrutiny and all of that. So we had our publication in the newspaper industry for like 5 days. He got wind of it and ran a day before to make a purported refund. And my counter argument is simple. The fact that you have made a refund is only evidence that actually I got this money. But guess what? That is exhibit in the hands of the law. FCDA is a constructive trustee of that fund because the Nigerian Police Force will call for it to tender as exhibit in the imminent event of a criminal prosecution.
Okay, Mr. Tongara, let's get your response now.
No, he's not saying the fact. Now, his advertorial ran in 3 national newspapers. 3 national newspapers, namely The Guardian, Vanguard, and This Day. On August 20, the man paid back the money erroneously credited to his account on the 22nd of July, almost 1 month. So he's not telling the truth. He's lying with figures.
Is that right?
That is not correct.
He resigned. He claims he returned the money 22nd of July. He claims that your advertorial came out on the 20th
of August. You can check. You can check your library.
Just a moment, Mr. Otongara. He is to respond to it.
When were the advertorials put in the industry? It couldn't have been on the 20th of August.
Because I'm getting to see so many of them here appeared in the month of August. So
yes.
That's why I'm asking.
But even way back, I've told you that the cutoff date for our investigation is June. So anything you do after June.
No, we understand your investigation.
Yes.
I asked the question about publication and advertorial whistleblowing because I wanted to see at what point in time, because he said he voluntarily returned the monies that he's been erroneously paid.
Yes.
And you say, no, it was because you blew the whistle.
Yes.
But if you look at it, most of your public documents about the whistleblowing came out in this month of August.
That's the material word, public. What about private? How did we get all this information? We must have been working within and around the system.
Now, you should have told us that you were working on the ground, but when you said publication came out in July,
yes,
and I'm looking at the documents, a couple of them here, even online, they're available online, they all appeared in August.
That is date of publication in the public domain. We submitted our publication to the newspaper houses way back. And they said, listen, we need to send it to legal department. We need to scrutinize.
He also has a big point there that the man voluntarily returned the money.
No, the voluntariness of his return should have manifested at the point of his discovery, when he got the first inclination that strange monies have come in. In the month of May, sir, I say it again, because this is an eloquent testimony to negate the voluntary intent here. Housing allowance came in bulk, 756,000. It's not salary. His salary is 155,836 naira. And he got almost 900,000 into his account. The next day, he issued a check for 500,000 immediately. And he said he didn't get a lot. He started blowing these monies. And then to wake up from slumber, because there is some discreet investigation going on. I say, hey, listen, let's rush. And in fact, let me also indict him on the basis of his documents. If you look at his purported letter conveying acceptance of his resignation, look at it. You will see that this letter is said to emanate from FCDA, Office of the Director of Finance and Admin, but is signed by Executive Secretary. As far as I'm concerned, that's strange.
What's the normal procedure?
The normal procedure is, if the Executive Secretary is to sign a letter, he's supposed to emanate from his office. ES. Are we now saying that the ES, Mr. Yakasai, does not have stationery in his office? Why is he borrowing from the Director of F&A to convey ministerial approval? I'm saying that FCDA is complicit in this monumental scam. And if Nigerians are to be given the benefit of the anti-graft campaign of this administration, we must look at it.
Mr. Tongara,
yes,
are you in touch with the deputy government candidate? What does he think of this?
Oh, I'm not sure he's bothered. I'm in touch with him. He's not bothered because there are no facts here. This is not the first time Andem. You know, we've been here before. Andem would come and be speaking blah, blah, blah about law that doesn't exist. I remember when we were talking about the relocation of the tribunal to Abuja, he came here and quoted laws upside down. Of course, the Court of Appeal has shown that he's wrong. He's wrong here again. He has no point. He has no point. He's not making any point here. Engineer Okpong retired voluntarily from AC, and that retirement was accepted. Now, he doesn't work, Andem doesn't work in FCDA. How does he know how letters are routed at FCDA?
Yeah, but Mr.
know.
Tongara, for a deputy governorship candidate, you'll expect that they'll be circumspect in a lot of things. How do you draw from a salary account that you're not depositing any money into because you've since resigned, and you only discover much later and you refund a huge amount of money? Don't you think that raises questions, rightly or wrongly?
Well, it has raised questions in the mind of Andem, but the key issue here, as I have said, this man has a valid document to show that he retired voluntarily from FCDA, and that he also has valid document to show that when he discovered that money was paid, salary was paid, and other monies were paid in error into his account, he did what a credible public officer should do, which was to refund the money.
The question then will be, I mean, assuming this is really, let's give benefit of the doubt that it's by error or in error, at what point did he discover, and how did he discover?
I have already said, I don't know how he discovered, I've already said the money was refunded on the 22nd of July.
As a party, because this could cause you some embarrassment, you don't think that you should have scrutinized how he discovered?
He found out. He found out that money was paid erroneously into his account.
He didn't tell you how?
He found out.
The reason I asked this question is because I raised the issue of the alert system earlier. Either you get emails or you get a text message on your phone. You say that you've had issues with alerts, and so that could, have informed it. But the question then will be, how then did he eventually find out that monies were being erroneously paid into his account?
The important thing is that he did find out. And when he found out, he took the right step, which was to refund the money.
But again, you didn't tell us when did he find out. We know about when he returned it.
Now,
we assume that's when he found out.
He refunded the money on the 22nd of July. He must have found out that money was erroneously paid into his account before that date.
Yeah, as you rightly said, the FCTA should also be answering questions here, because they ought to have known as well. And were they also complicit? Were they getting a share? Was he paying some people?
Was it a ghost worker?
Perhaps, Oh, we don't know really all of these things. Have you made any more inquiries into that?
Yes, we have written a pointed petition to the FCDA confronting them with this monumental evidence of institutionalized corruption. And we expect, on the basis of fair hearing, that the FCDA will speak up, for this was their officer of no mean standing, Deputy Director, Department of Engineering. So, they must speak up. Do we have in place an institutionalized corruption of ghost workers being recycled? Benefit of doubt. Question for FCDA. But we have also gone a step further to petition ICPC, that oversees public bureaucracies of this nature, to find out whether there was a compromise in bureaucracy to orchestrate this rather embarrassing saga? Because I can tell you, what if we have many engineer punks in the system? What happens to our kids that are coming out of school without opportunity to get jobs? Because the engineer punks of this world have siphoned monies in this manner. FCDA must speak up. FCDA must speak up. They are put on the spot. And more importantly, if not finally from me, Mr. President, we have made a humble, factual, and passionate petition to Mr. President, especially in the wave of his anti-corruption campaign. There was allegation in the media that, oh, this is persecution of opposition. Now, this is intra-party. It involves APC. I am calling on Mr. President to take steps to cause a thorough and clinical investigation. But we have a right to know.
Well, let's get Mr. Otongara's final response on this one. But at the end of the day, you say this was in an error, but do you think that this kind of error should not have been made?
Well, Mr. Andem is saying he has called on the president to investigate. He has called on this. There's nothing to investigate. There's no corruption here. Nothing is hidden. Everything is placed face up on the table. That this man retired from his position as deputy director at FCDA, but FCDA paid money in error into his account. And on finding out this, he refunded the money. So where is the issue of corruption here? There is absolutely no issue of corruption. Now, even Mr. Andem that is sitting there, under what, if you look at his advertorials and the petitions he's writing petition as a president or a leader of an NGO. But Mr. Andem is the legal advisor, official legal advisor to the governor of Akwa Ibom State.
All right, we hear you. Iboro Otongara is head media and publicity of the APC campaign organization. Thank you for talking to us today. And Mr. Andem, you also
thank you for having me.
Yes, Iboro Otongara is also the CEO of his company, in addition to the capacity. So why are we looking at the messenger and not the message?
No, right. The messenger is important too.
Thank
because
you.
The credibility
thank
of
you both,
comes in
gentlemen. Thank you for talking to us today. So it's out there, so who knows what next steps they'll take. But thank you, Mr. Otongara and Mr. Andem, for talking to us today.